Welcome to Nkhani Zathu, the pod that tells indigenous stories every day, the platform that tells you what's God and what's odd for young people and elderly alike in the areas of art, history, and culture preservation. And now your host, Rina Kasongo.
Hello, welcome to Nkhani Zathu. Nkhani Zathu, this is the platform where we bring you captivating stories, the stories that speak to mindset change, speaks to our culture, our national identity, and most of all, anything that is speaking to art and the ideas of publishing and preserving our cultures. Today, it is a great one that we are hosting one of our own, and this is a storyteller and as well as somebody who is committed to preserving of cultural values. We are discussing back to the roots, and I am assuring you that on this journey you will not only be educated, but I'm very certain you'll be transformed. Our guest is no other than Madam Nachombe Kabunda Siatwambo. This is a passionate advocate. Welcome to Nkhani Zathu.
Thank you so much, Sydney. I'm glad to be here and very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's an honor to have you and just to have this conversation, just to take back to the roots what it is. But before we go, how do you meet Siatwambo?
What did I go to? He's very fine, as busy as ever.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is a busy man, calm, relaxed. Do you fight?
We have no time to fight because we are both busy bees. So we are very busy people. I think we have a little time to look at negativity and all those things to reach us to things like fighting.
Okay.
That's something that we just hear from other homes to say there are fights. But for us, I think anyway, that is something that has never existed in our marriage life.
Okay, so you recently returned from China. What interesting new thing did you learn about Chinese culture that you want us to just speak?
Okay. A lot. There's a lot that we always learn whenever we travel, but to be specific, China is a place where you can learn a lot of things, especially when it comes to work culture. Their work culture is excellent, something that one cannot compare it with maybe any culture in the world when it comes to hard work, because for them they have no night. And today you are working, and in the night they are working. The following day you find that something else comes up and so on. So these are people that work day and night, in short. And that is one thing that we have also learned as a couple, because we work together as a couple. And it's something that is working, and that is also a lesson perhaps to other people that are following us when it comes to our business.
So traveling is a form of education. Now, let's travel on this story. Just as we travel on this path and just back to the roots and can you share two truths and one lie, and I have to guess which one is the lie among those two things I'm going to share?
Okay. Do I know how to lie? Let me give it a try. Okay, I'm a mother of 28 children. Yes, I grew up in the village, born and bred, and I'm an introvert.
So obvious. 28. Where? How? Yeah, so you get like, she's not good at it. She can't even lie.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah. Of course, they could be 28 and it could even be more.
I know.
And you know, even our space, just as before we even go to wanting to dig to the roots, when we are measuring issues of wealth, and some people, the dependability ratios make us poor.
I know.
Because we have so much people depending on us. So quickly, just tell us about your child. Let's get to the roots and how that has shaped your values and your journey.
I see. Okay. Like I was introduced by you, Sydney, my name is Nachombe. That's a Tonga name, Nachombe Kabunda Siatwambo. So I'm married to Dr. Rosie Siatwambo, and we've been together for the past 19 years. I'm a mother of 4, 2 boys and 2 girls. And I was born in the village, brought up in the village. So
What village?
okay, so I was born in the Lenje land. That's where my father settled. But originally, I'm from Mazabuka, Magoye to be specific. That's where my both parents come from. And then my father had to shift to Liteta Chivombo, Shimbilo, where he was, looking for greener pastures. He was a very big farmer then. So he found the land there, and that's where he settled, and that's where I was born, and I did my education at a school called Shimbilo Primary School in Liteta, the rural part of Kawe. And then from there, I qualified to grade 8 in Kawe, that's at Mkoweko Secondary School, from grade 8 to grade 12. And then from there, I came to Lusaka to join my sister, who was running a restaurant at City Market, Munyaole Market, the one that was recently demolished. Those were the
Okay,
starters.
so the history is partly going.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, but we still have memories that it was there.
Exactly. Yeah, and then from there, I think that is where I did more of the experience of hospitality industry. I started it from City Market, where I was helping up my sister, and I worked with her for more than 3 years. And I developed an interest in the hospitality industry too. So this is how you give a service to the clients. This is how you cook. Issues of time, to say people actually want the food at the time that they want to have it, and so on. Hence the passion of what you are seeing under Twalumba Lodges and all that. So it's something that I grew up learning as I was working in City Market at my sister's
What was your dream when you were still at maybe secondary school? And what was your dream job? What do you want to become before this experience pushed you towards hospitality?
Okay, I could be a different person from others that dream for their careers, perhaps because people have inspirations, and they have people that they look up to in families or even just in society. But in my case, because of the background that I have, which is a very poor background, by the way, I'm a villager, like I stated, and I'm one person that never had anyone that I looked up to, because my family is a very poor family, extremely poor, maybe the poor of the poorest. That is the category that I would put myself from the roots point of view. So it was a kind of a life where we never used to have anyone that we were looking up to, apart from our parents. Of course, at home they would, teach us 1 or 2 things to do with farming and village arrangement, culture, and all those values that we grew up with. And then coming to school, it's a bush school that is in the village, remote, where you are sitting on the ground to write underneath the tree and all that. So when it comes to careers, I think it's something that I only realized when I was a grown-up person, to say, oh, so there's even an aspect of choosing what you want to do in life. But of course, we could see the teachers that were teaching, and you'd admire, to say, wow, I wish I could stand in front and just, hold a chalk and write. Other than that, literally, there was nothing in my mind. But I think it's something that a lot of things, maybe that's why I'm into a lot of things, because I didn't have any single line of my career to say this is what I'm thinking of doing in my life, and therefore I'll study this and
so
that.
I'm going to ask you a little later just on how a lot of things, but yet you are known for something, how that works out.
I see.
But for now, I just want to mention to the listener and the viewer out there that this podcast is brought to you courtesy of Software Publishers. This is a publishing company that is focusing on developing, producing, as well as marketing literature that is promoting indigenous values. They focus on socially relevant stories, and everyone's story is varied, and hence they have helped us, many people, to have the stories published, and yours could also be published. Contact Software Publishers, and from there you could be a published author, and your story will go all over the world with excellence attached to it. Okay.
I'm glad to be part of this. And my story will be published.
Yeah, you will be looking at that. So let's little bit talk about back to the roots. What does it mean really like, because you are one of the persons who is very passionate about talking about back to the roots. And the other time we were having your birthday and you said, back to the roots is the way to go. What is it?
Well, this is a foundation that was obviously founded by myself, and this is it came about when I looked at how life is, especially in this 21st century, how things have just gone, how people are getting disturbed by social media, how people have just diverted from the real life and the values that maybe were taught during the time, the time that we were growing up, and they have diverted to just being, into areas of copying what this person is doing on social media and all that. So I sat down with my team, of course, to check on what is it that we can draw from where we are coming from. And when you look at my story, my life and everything, I appreciate what I have become now, all because of where I'm coming from. So I decided to name it Back to the Roots, because all values that you see in this admired woman, every value that everyone would say, oh, I love what she does, the hard work, the respect, and everything that surrounds my life, just brought about that thought of back to the roots is the way to go, because I grew up a person that was mentored very well when it comes to life. And even when I come into town and also exposed in whichever area, I cannot divert. Like the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when they grow up, they will not depart from it. So for me, my belief in the Back to the Roots Foundation is that when you know how you're supposed to be as a human being, how you're supposed to live with people, no matter what, if you're trained very well, you can never divert to anything else, regardless of the exposure. Yes, hence Back to the Roots Foundation.
Awesome, interesting. So about cultural preservation, but what methods or what modes are you using in advocating for getting back to the values, making the values trend, in other words?
Okay, there's a lot. Methods are a lot, and for me, in my foundation, I have decided to get interested in the children, of course, that are just so fresh in their thoughts on how best we can load the values that we grew up with. Of course, they are in the modern world, but I think they are values that we cannot take away from a human life. Values like respect. This is one thing, wherever you'll be, it will be highly valued and it will be highly accepted, because that is how a human is supposed to live. So the issues of dress code is one other thing that I also impart in the younger ones, and also the issue of living your life, not to be a person that copies whatever that you see on social media and so on. And when it comes to the adults, or maybe the elderly people, I also teach the children to say, these are our parents. A long time ago, or this time around, when you see somebody that is elderly, like in the village, they tend to be named and name called a lot of things. No, na bakulava, awe, abanindoshi, and so on. We forget to say that is actually our glory as this society, as children, to say, oh, thank God we still have such a life that we can look at. And for somebody to grow from young to 90 this time around, it simply means this person maybe lived a very good life. And they lived very well in society. So these are some of the values that I'm imparting in the younger ones, the youths, and even those I think that are our age mates, to see how best we can get those old values, or the values rather of life, and apply it in our lives now.
So that sounds very interesting. You're talking about people copying things on social media. You and Siatwambo, are you living your new lives that you are portraying there, or you're also acting for the sake of business?
Unfortunately, we are not actors. We live a real life. We try our best to live a real life, but of course, when you are in the public domain, you try by all means and just be like any other person, but we try our best to live our real life. We don't want to lie to the people on things that we cannot afford. So if we are able to do something, we show it to say, okay, this is what we're able to do, but not to show off, but to teach the people to say, you are capable of doing that. And by the way, my husband and I have similar backgrounds. So we are both villagers in terms of background, grew up in the village and so on. And I'll tell you one thing to say, I have also come to believe that village, when somebody is brought up from the village, you are brought up from the village, you accept and also embrace the values like hard work and also respect, knowing how to live with people and all those other values with a bit of some exposure and a bit of some education. We are bad news when it comes to progress in life.
I love that. So
Yes.
it's like what the members say, permanent.
Yes.
Because you have been there,
Absolutely.
it becomes a motivation. You don't want to stay in that condition. You don't
Ah.
want to be identified with what it has been.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know, sometimes you even wonder. The other time we're laughing with Habi, you know, some people are saying, I know you are very hardworking. You guys, don't you get tired and all that? And you just wonder to say, oh, what are they talking about? Because for us, hardworking is something that we grew up with. Okay, so this is something that you never feel like, no, ninaka, or nale maine, and so on. It's not there in our vocabulary because this is something where we have grown up with it, and there's no a time that you feel like you are tired. You just do it because it needs to be done. And if work has not been done, it has to be done. At whatever time it has to finish, whether in the night, but at least it has to be done. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would dive to know the two characters, who is process oriented, who is result oriented, between the two of you in a moment. But I
Okay.
want to find out, just in line with feminism and empowerment. Now, you are going out there and you are known to be, I hope you know this.
Okay.
When somebody hears, let me see, why have they need to pronounce Nachombe? I don't want to say
Nachombe. No, just
Nachombe.
relax and pronounce it Nachombe.
Nachombe. Yeah, it's known as, this is a woman of mass, the woman of, with the walk of confidence. It's the woman who is so inspiring. And on the other end, despite all these accolades, she's also the humble one. Now, you want to find out these traits are what the people say and describe. If you don't know, that's how they describe you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and it's also a go-getter.
Thank you.
They describe you as such. Then you are working around empowering people. Then also that they need to have confidence. They need to move with values, and then the issues of women to stand up for their rights. How is this working out also in your own marriage?
In my
How are you
marriage,
standing up before the dog?
it first of all takes a spouse that is supportive. I've had a good time with Rosias in our marriage. He's a husband that would always want to see the best out of me, and he's a supportive husband that has empowered me in a lot of areas when it comes to business. All etiquettes of business, you find that he'll be there teaching me and so on. And I've been a very good student. I have been a very good student in that whatever that my mentor, I call him my mentor, and I've been growing up in the area of business as a mentee, even as I mentor others in the area of business. So he's one person that has really mentored me well, and also trained me well in the area of business. But of course, that does not divert my wifeship at home, my motherhood at home. I still remain a mother. I still remain a wife. I was well trained when it comes to that, and it goes back to the roots again. Okay, I used to see how my mother used to treat my father as a husband, and my mother treated my father as a king, and that's the exact concept that I got from my mom. And I was like, okay, so this is how my dad, and because of that, it was very easy for them to get along. They were ever happy. We also wondered at which point they quarreled. And I have just come to believe, to say, that concept that I got from my mother and applied it in my marriage, of taking somebody or taking my husband as a king, has worked out very well with me. I submit, I've treated him as a king, and he treats me as a queen. So when it comes to marriage, support is automatic because I have given him the space that he needs, and I have given him all the support that he needs as a spouse in the area of business.
Interesting. Many people, they can't teach their partner even how to drive because they will be quarreling. So it's an interesting concept that you are the mentee and all this. But still, the question somebody would pose: at what point do you decide that what you are discussing is business? Now you're back to the home issues.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It has a thin line. It has a thin line. This is we're talking about marriage, which is a huge institution,
Yeah.
and which has its own dynamics. Equally, business it's also an institution, and it also has its own dynamics, its own challenges, and so on. As a wife, I have come to differentiate between marriage and also the business. So when I talk about business, I'm talking about work or a job, because when I am at work, when I'm at Great North Road Academy group of companies, either at Twalumba Lodges or resorts, I'm a worker. And I report to my boss, who is my husband, at home.
But I'm able to say, boss, I love you.
When we are seriously working, I actually report to his office, and when we come home, I'm a wife and he's a husband. So I play a role of a wife when I'm at home and a mother, and when I get to work, he's my boss and he's my husband. But of course, I've been a very supportive wife, where when there's pressure maybe at work, I would go there in the court of a wife and see how I can talk to him to say, no, there, maybe let's do this and that. What do you think? And so on. So because I have a softer spot, in the home setup, you hear and listen and, oh, okay, so I hear you, I understand. So maybe we go this way. Yeah, so it works out both ways.
Okay, it's good, and I hope many people would learn this. Like, you could have a balance, because the question that keeps trending is, it's very difficult for couples to do same business and do the same things, and like you kind of have to also be enemies at some point and things of that. Yeah, so it's really encouraging that you bring out these elements as it were.
It takes first of all, it takes an understanding. Both of you must have a certain understanding to differentiate between.
Where did you find him? Somebody, the young lady there, could be asking that, where are such men found? How did you find him?
They're
Where?
everywhere, in city market, everywhere. They're there. It's an issue of, getting into a relationship, and you see the potential to say, well, is there anywhere where we can go with this person? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're saying there are still such men?
Of course, I believe they are still there. They are still there, and even women that are like me, they are still there in society. So it's an issue of studying what kind of a person are you looking for, okay? And what is it that this person believes in? So there are a lot of things that we believe in, similar things that we believe in together, and we become like, compatible in a lot of areas.
Great.
Yeah.
On Women or Mother's Day, we always get pressure. You're putting pressure on the young man there. Some of us going in these institutions.
Yeah.
There is that photo that's trend, a doctor doing cis. Eh?
He does that always.
Is that what romance is supposed to be? Is it part of going to the roots? Should the king also be doing plating of hair?
Oh, well, one thing that maybe people must understand is that people have got different strengths, and also backgrounds. We all have different backgrounds. So because of this social media emulation of life, you will find that this person maybe has a spouse that is so romantic, a person that goes to shops to go and buy roses. My husband is not that kind. If he does that, it will be once in a while. Maybe there are a lot more that are listening to this podcast, and they have spouses that cannot buy a rose for them on that particular day, on Mother's Day. But that doesn't subtract the love that the person has for you. So it simply means that person is not in that category of such men. And you find that such men that are also strong in that area might not be good in other areas. So it's an issue of understanding your spouse to say, what is it that he's strong at? So him not bringing, a bouquet or anything on Women's Day does not subtract, first of all, the Women's Day. It still remains Women's Day. I still remain a woman, and I celebrate myself, and people celebrate me. And if he doesn't bring anything like roses, it doesn't subtract the love that he has for me. because I receive roses even when it's not Women's Day. So for me, Women's Day, Valentine's, or anything, it's not really an issue. Yeah, it's a day to be celebrated, but this is not something that should really be an issue in a home. Yeah.
Okay. I love that when you're, I was thinking when you're cutting the name Rose to Roses, that is very good at supplying roses, but then you're saying it doesn't. Okay. In your own opinion, with the public perception, of course, back the roots you have different view, but in the public perception, is it true that gender empowerment is degrading our cultural values? Where we have these women have to be CEOs, they have to be the head of this and all this. Is it degrading our cultural values?
I'm not so sure about that one, but I'm looking at it from a different perspective, because a woman has got, we have our own strengths and we have our own weaknesses. For me, I doubt if the inclusion of women in society to hold positions or become directors or CEOs of institutions subtracts anything to do with our culture at all, unless otherwise maybe at a character level. Otherwise, we are beings just like men, and we can do just as much as men can do when it comes to work. Actually, I have come to believe to say women make good leaders, perhaps because of our natural loyalty. We make very good leaders when it comes to work. And for me, I thought that one should be embraced and also be added to our work culture so that we can improve better, even because we cannot say men are better or women are better, but the combination of the two, I think, works out very well. Yeah.
Great. You are tuned in to Nkhani Zathu. Nkhani Zathu, our stories, is all about telling our own stories that are socially relevant, the stories that speak to preservation of our culture, the stories that speak to issues of art, how we portray our society, and also we aim at mindset change. Nkhani Zathu is brought to you by Zathu Publishers. These are the reading publishers of indigenous values literature, and you can contact us through zathupublishers@gmail.com, or check us out on Zathu Publishers website, and we can be your partner in telling your own story as it were. Okay, so back to the roots, and then we just look at can you sing a song? Ngajaribo. And I want it in your Tonga voice.
You sing it like this. Nijalibobo, nijalijiboto, nijalibobo, nijalijiboto, nijalibobo, nijalijiboto, nijalibobo, nijalijiboto, nijalibobo.
Okay. Then the members will have like so things of that. Okay.
If it was like this, it was going to be better. If it was like this, it was going to. It's a celebration song.
Okay. Yeah. The celebration song. So as we are looking at this celebration song, what are some of the things that you love? Like, if the things were like this, if we went back to the roots, things were like this, what are some of these things that you hold so dear that you think society would be very at its best?
There's a lot. We appreciate technology coming to this level. Maybe it's just speaking to my fellow parents when it comes to technology. Technology is a good thing, but also it has its own disadvantages. Much as we learn a lot from technology, but maybe if we could help our children and also help society to understand the dangers of technology if it is abused. So the teaching of the dangers of technology, it can really help. Because if you just leave a gadget with, let's say, a 2-year-old, 5 years, 10-year-old child that is not checked, as in what time does this person use this gadget? What is the content that this child is checking in the phone? Because these are open forums where a child can even go to things that can destroy their lives. So the teaching aspect of the dangers of technology, if it can be embraced, if it can be encouraged in schools and even just in other groupings, it can help us a lot. but also not to leave out the advantage of technology on how best people can improve their lives using technology. Here we are seated and we are recording, and it's giving us that, easy life to do whatever that we want to do, all because of technology. But on the other side of it, I think it's a serious distractor of life, a serious distractor of education, a serious distractor of even a life, if not careful, because there are people that could be addicts of technology, where they're just on phones the whole day. They are non-productive because they are on these gadgets through and through. And look at what the content that they are looking at. It's not even productive, and nothing to do with their career, nothing to do with their education or anything like that, but they are just entertaining themselves by checking these people that are naked on social media, people that are doing all sorts of things.
The influencers.
They're so called.
They're so good.
They're so called, and whoever they influence anyway, with such things, influencers must be positive influencers and not negative influencers, because we must also be responsible to say we have these children, and would we want our children to see these negative influences that we are exerting on social media? And what is it that our children are learning from these negative shows that we are doing for them? Do we really love them? Because first of all, if I love my child, I think the least thing that I can do is to strip naked, and my son or my daughter is watching me that, no, my mother is an influencer by being naked.
For likes?
For likes.
Following?
And then what?
You are not.
You know? And these are very temporal things, very temporal indeed. They have a very temporal lifespan, so to say, because when one is an influencer, Sydney, you must be able to be an influencer even to the generations to come. So I wouldn't want personally to see my children or my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, to come and check me naked and be an example to say this is how my grandfather, my grandmother used to live.
That my grandmother was hot.
She was hot. No. I think we can be hot in a respectful manner by doing the positive things to help others and even the generations to come.
Okay, so talking about influencers, given chance, which influential figure would you like to sit before for inspiration and mentorship?
There are a lot that are doing great. Yeah, my husband is one of the influencers that I sit to listen to, yes, but there are quite a number of them. And then from the female folks, I think we have a lot that are really doing a great work. I think the example that I have ever in my mind to sometimes think about is the First Lady, the current First Lady, Mtinta.
Okay.
Yes, Mam Mtinta is somebody that is married to the president, and she comes on board when she's supposed to, and she plays, I think, a motherly role, and also that First Lady role when it comes to that. So that calmness is just something that I admire always, to say, okay, this is great. Yeah.
She's not for trending, so you also love to be in that type?
I wouldn't want to trend for something that doesn't make sense. I would love to trend, for something that would be an inspiration to somebody out there. I would love to trend for something that is going to be a lesson, for somebody, or maybe trend for something that one will learn a lesson to say, oh, so she had gone through this, so I can also make it in my own way. So I don't want to trend in something that is not going to help another person, because we live for others, Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
I borrow your word, going through this. Now, using that same word, has there been anything that has been kind of setbacks in your life, in your journey, and how did you overcome them? Is there any, have there been challenges in your journey with business, journey of life? Yeah, just to make it general.
A lot. One of the, it's now that I'm remembering to say I had a lot of setbacks. The background aspect is one of those where I didn't have people that would inspire me, or people that I would look up to in my life. That was a serious life setback, because background is very important, where you are coming from, what you are taught. So I always think to say, okay, I wish I had that time. But thank God, I've been exposed to a lot of things that I have come to appreciate, and picking up the values from my background, joined with the exposure and also the education, I think it makes life good. Yeah, but there has been quite a number of setbacks. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So talking about those influence, so certain publishers, especially, we love to celebrate books. So this is for you, the power of assertive you in the sphere of influence,
Thank you.
so that you can continue
This is really good.
inspiring future generation.
The power of assertive you in the sphere of influence. This will do for me.
Thank you. So that's
I
just a
appreciate
workbook, just to continue reflecting and inspiring other generations, as it were, so that they have what it takes. And I think from what we have picked from your story so far, that your background, where one comes from, doesn't determine how far they can go.
No.
Yeah. But of course, you are emphasizing you have to go back to the roots. There are certain things, hard work, values, certain things can substitute.
Yes.
Are you able to list them again? Because we are mentioning 4 or 5 of them.
There are a number of them, but of course,
Okay.
one of the values that I have appreciated so much from my parents' point of view is the aspect of hardworking. We used to wake up in the morning, go to the field. When you come back from the field, you are going to fetch firewood in the bush. Not these farms that you see nowadays. I mean village arrangement where you're using firewood to cook. And then from there you have to go to the well, not pump. These pumps that CDF has brought for us, we thank God that now we are actually living in, modern villages. So we used to go to the well to go and draw water from the well. And from there you have to go to school on foot, 10 kilometers going and coming back. And when you come back, it's the very routine of working, and life is made just like that. So it became like a lifestyle. And hard work is one thing that I never feel like it's something that one needs to learn. It's something that you grow up with. It's a training. It's a daily life training. So if you are not a hard worker from the time you were born, your parents have not done a good job to teach you to say, this is how you do the work. This is the culture that we want when it comes to you to do the work. It simply means you cannot learn hard work when you are 20 or 30 years. It's not possible. And these are people that we find in homes. They're still being kept by their parents, and they are 25, 30 years old, because they have not been inculcated with the thought to say they need to fetch for what they need to put on the table for them. They think mommy and daddy has to go and do that for them and put on the table. So so they feel like they cannot win off from that. And you find that such people, especially the men, you have to pull up your socks. We are losing it bit by bit, losing the sort of menship, because most of them, because they have been brought up that way, their daddy's boys, even when they marry, they want to marry, and when they marry, they have brought this life, another life in their lives or in their home, and they still want to live a life that they were living with their parents.
In the Eating the Absent Parent Void book, I put up a sentence that men don't like me, saying, from my research, we have a lot of boys in men's bodies.
I know, right?
Reading families. And unfortunately, the women who have been kind of no motivation, no grounding, they are looking for inspiration from the boys.
Exactly.
And then they are crying that the men are useless.
So you are leaders. And even when you get into marriage, you have this wife. A wife expects you to be a leader in that home. Give a direction to that woman, that where are we going this year? How far are we going to go by end of this year, and so on. But
Should the women provide in their home?
Of course. They have to. I do provide. Yeah? I do provide, and every woman this time around, I think if you have seen, tables are turning upside down, where most women are the ones that are now feeding the men in homes. And because of that, you find that men, slowly but sure, are losing the sort of menship.
But should the man still be respected if he's not providing?
Yeah, it depends on the circumstance. Respect must still remain respect, because a woman has chosen to be with that man. And of course, maybe she could have not known much about him or something, but this is the reason why it is also very important to date someone, understand this person, to say, okay, what is this person doing? What is it that we can do together, and so on. But naturally, or the natural phenomenon is that a man is a provider, a woman is a helper. So being a helper simply means that you need also to bring on board something. So you don't become a housewife and just sit and relax because you've been married to this person. No, our value is not added by you because I'm married to this person. Of course, there's some value and respect that comes with marriage. But then when it comes to hard work and providing in a home, you must be a standalone kind of a person who can put food on the table for the children even when your husband is absent.
What do you have to say to couples where a man feels, as long as I'm a provider, you are a housewife. The woman has to sacrifice whatever she has to want to become in life. So she has to trade a career, a goals, because she's married to this person.
Where a woman
Now
just
talk
needs
as a
to be
counselor.
home.
Yes, she has to just be a housewife because the man says, I'll provide everything.
That's a timely bomb. That's a timely bomb in that men must understand to say a woman that you have married also has a life. So that life that I'm talking about is life to do with progress in her own life. Okay, I can be married to Dr. Rosia Siatwambo, but I have my own life as Nachombe. Okay, and this is why in our personal progress we need to see how best we can do whatever it is. It could not be the very thing that a husband is doing, but I can be selling tomatoes on the market and I'm doing something also as a human being and also growing that business, because life sometimes tends a different direction that you least expect. You find that one day this person is no more. How do you survive as an individual with the children that God has given you if you are a person that cannot provide in a home as a woman? So we are not just helpers because we need to be with a man in a bedroom or something. No, we are helpers even in terms of bringing food on the table. Whichever direction, you can be a couple that is working together. You can also as well just be working somewhere else. Maybe you are a civil servant or you are a business person in another field that your husband is not into. But at the end of the day, you need to provide as a woman. Because remember, we have families that we need to take care of. Can you imagine a home where, every day I have to go to him? No, I'm asking for a 10 kwacha. My brother wants talk time. No, I'm asking for 20 kwacha. Vegetables have finished. No, I'm asking. No, we become burdens because every man this time wants a woman that can provide in a home. Yes, a woman that is productive. I don't think any man would go for a woman that is not productive, unless otherwise that person now becomes something else where you just become a wife in a house to produce children and then what?
So you have heard, ladies, that men are looking for stability. They're not looking for somebody who will be pushing up the bills in the house. She was trying to be gentle, but that's what she has said. Okay, so Nkhani Zathu is about storytelling, and we are telling stories every day, and the stories that connect with our lives. Let me mention that Nkhani Zathu is open for sponsorship so that we can keep this podcast interesting stories to sustain. So if you feel like you want to be a part of this, please reach out to Southern Publishers or any of our platform where you find Nkhani Zathu, and we'll gladly partner with you so that we continue telling stories that are meant to transform our lives, to improve our mindset, and like today's topic, ensure that we are connected to our roots. Because we believe there are certain things that is odd, they are very God and God, and that we have to preserve them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you wish to be remembered for? Because whatever it says is the law of gravity, whatever goes up must come down.
Must come down.
By
the time we are coming down.
But then coming down is not now. But what do you wish to be remembered for?
The first thing that I would wish to be remembered for when I decide to go and be with the Lord is service to the people.
Yes.
I do my best when it comes to service to the people, be it things to do with the business that we are doing at our businesses. We do our best to ensure that wherever people go, they'll remember to say, okay, I was saved by a person or an institution. Yeah. And other than that, I think I would wish to be remembered for as a woman that has stood by the values that I grew up with, which is hard work, respect, and somebody that respects a husband to be a husband.
Okay.
Yes. or a husband to feel a husband.
Okay.
Yes. And that it's very possible for couples to work together. I think I would want people to refer me to that, to say, okay, she's able to do that. And how does she manage? And it's exactly what we just explained. I would love to be remembered for that.
Okay. I hope that doesn't bring like that there are some people because you're so together, you're doing so well. Instead of being inspired, we think abanabo.
The Avanabo is there. It's a normal
Yeah, they are
narrative.
trying to remind us to go back to the roots. They are trying to remind us to remain grounded in the values. They don't want us to even have, that's the home up to fight.
Well, the Avanabo kind of language is there in society, but it depends on the circles that you are found and what you really want in life, because life has to be lived. So if you make mistakes in life, deliberate mistakes, because there are mistakes that we call deliberate and mistakes that just come accidental. So if these are accidental mistakes, it's something that is understandable because you'll be able to sit down and see where you made a mistake and correct it. But there are deliberate mistakes that we make as human beings by the very narrative of Avanavo, and so on. But then every couple or every life or every household has got its own different way of living, their own culture and so on. But there are pillars that still comes back to say this is a home. So what is it that is going to bring this home to be called a home? What are the things that people admire to refer to say, okay, this is a good home?
Are there topics you can talk to me, that young girl, and everywhere else that you are doing the empowerment that you can't chat with your own children?
Like, come again?
Are there topics or subjects that you could talk with anyone else out there, but you can't do them with your own children?
Maybe just putting it that maybe as a parent, I wouldn't maybe teach my child like the way I can teach another person's child.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a teacher by profession. My husband is a teacher by profession too. And then we are into business. Then we've got children. Not really that there's any specific topic that I cannot teach my child that I can teach another child. But maybe the presentation would be a bit hard. Being a parent is something that is a bit hard, such that you can even call for another person that would be a professional or an expert in that area to say, please help me with my child. This is what is going on right now. But I think I'm a parent that is very open to my children. Topics of sex, I teach them that, and the dangers of sex. I teach them topics of early marriages. I teach them culture. I teach them the values of life. I actually now introduced a program in my home of reading, the reading culture. So this is an added advantage for me, because this will just finish within 3 days, because somebody will have to pick it up quickly from the library and read it. So the culture of reading is one thing that I have also embedded in my children.
Great. That's giving knowledge and sharing all the positive aspects so that we go back to the roots.
Yes.
Okay. So now, as we wind down, what's that one question you expected me to ask that I didn't ask? And how would have you responded to it?
Maybe the question of politics. You didn't ask anything to do with politics, and maybe my answer, the work that I'm doing in my anthropist work.
Okay. Tell us about it.
No, we can reserve it for another
episode.
episode.
No, we would love to know, because somebody will just think, oh, so she is with the foundation, she is with the Twarumba, she is with Great North Road. But then somebody say, but I saw that Nachombe as
Nachi. A lot of people call me Nachi. They avoid the Nachombe name, so just Nachi.
Yeah, people will say, Mwana Kabunda. We heard that she stood there and lost, but then they didn't. People will be looking at, in that podcast, there's something they left out. She didn't say about
Our political life. I'm okay. So I'll answer that. I've asked myself and I'll answer it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm a political student. I've been learning politics for quite some time, and it's very interesting. I love it. It's a very good sphere. And most people say politics is a dirty game, but for me, I think it depends on the people that are found there. So you find dirty people and also people that are smart. So I'm a smart politician, a student of politics that is learning a lot, interacting with people, understanding people at different levels. Despite my profession, I have decided deliberately to get into politics, not to get into the dirty politics, but just to learn a lot about how our governments are doing, and also just for my own improvement. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So in that aspect of going into politics, what do you intend to achieve? Especially your choice that you want to do much in Magoye, or are you moving just at the national level?
Okay. I started with studying as an MP, where I come from in Magoye, Mazabuka district. And when I attempted to stand there, I was not adopted. So they preferred the current MP because he beat me, I think, in a number of areas, issues to do with loyalty, especially because he was in the party for a very long time than myself. But I did my best and I gave him a good run. So I am again standing in 2026. In politics, you need, in governance rather, you need to do checks and balances. When somebody is already holding a position, you need to be there also as people that are checking what is happening. Is it right? So you just help people actually to do the right thing.
Are the people in Zambia, just because you have gone politics and going back to the roots, are the people, people have been driven over the years, we have looked at politics has to do with money. Are people still standing with people who have ideas and advocating for positive development without giving out handouts? Are people ready to receive a leader who will bring about ideas, how they can contribute to their development, how can they articulate and present them without giving them handouts?
Mindset is slowly but sure changing in the political sphere. Maybe a long time ago it used to be so rampant, but not anymore. I think people, when you get on ground, they are openly saying it's not about the money that one has, but it's about your ideology. What is it that you believe in? What do you want to do for the people? Yeah? So mostly that thing could be there, but I think this time around the mindset is changing. People want leadership because every aspect of life or everywhere where you go, people want leadership and not what you have. Because you can have money, a lot of money to dish out, but do you have the leadership that people are expecting to have in the area? And are you able to lead in a way that they want you to lead? Because you are leading on their behalf. Yeah? So you are leading on their behalf, and therefore you must be a person that has that leadership skill to do that.
Apart from honoring Wagabunda by going back to the roots, why Mazabuka and Magoye? Why did you choose?
I can serve anywhere across the country, but I think it's also very important to serve your own people. They know me, they understand me, they know my background, and I think it's also an inspiration for them as my people to appreciate somebody that has come on board, especially as a woman, to say, I would love to lead you, or I would love to work with you in the political sphere. It's something that is an inspiration. So people, I think, are tired of seeing foreign faces coming from everywhere else to come and be leaders in their own area. And when they don't do well, they end up, quarreling with that person.
So come 2026, when you see the Honorable go to National Assembly, will Barosius be bowing to the Honorable?
Not at all. He remains my husband, and he remains my boss when it comes to work. Yes, he'll respect that, like he's respected it from way back, because he strongly supports what I have decided to do. Yeah.
Okay, so back to the roots, just as you again give us an idea of why you came up with this foundation and the other activities that you are doing. Maybe you can just, in the way you could summarize what that is and the activities that you are undertaking.
Okay, we are all coming from somewhere, Sydney. And because we come from somewhere, whether it's in town, other people were born and bred, one would ask to say, no, but me, I was born in Lusaka. Okay, so it's not really like one has to go back to the village. but you get back to the values that brought you to become what you have become. What is it that has brought you to where you are? Okay, so most of the times you find that as we are growing up, we tend to forget the hurdles that we have had in lives and what made us come out of those hurdles and become what we have become. So back to the roots encourages everyone out there to look at the values. What are the values that have brought you to become what you have become? Okay, what are those things that are odd, could be very odd in your life, but you can still remember them to say, oh, at a certain point, this is what we used to do. And you bring it on for the betterment of society, betterment of your life as an individual too. Yeah, so basically the foundation is looking at a culture that can be revived. Okay, a culture that can remember what is it that we have been doing that we can bring on board to better our lives and to better society, even in this modern world.
Okay, Ubuntu and reach out programs that you do, how do they link to that? Do you attach the message to it, or you want to just do it by action?
We do quite a number of things when it comes to that activities to help out the old folks. That goes to respecting of our parents that have brought us, because every person, no matter the position, even just the president himself, he has a mother and a father, and he has grandfathers, and those people must be helped in a certain way. So inculcating that in this foundation is one of those activities that we do. We go out, especially in Magoe, to go and help out those that cannot manage, because you can't empower them even with money. You can't give them even, 100 kwacha or 1,000 kwacha to do something, because they are quite old. So what is it that you can do? Sometimes it's just gathering them, and then you eat with them, you give them what you can give, and you drum up and dance with them. So that goes a long way for them. It increases their days actually of life.
Are you able to do that? It's Kuyavira?
Oh yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, is that dance? Okay.
I do.
Okay. So that's very interesting to appreciate. Your passion and dedication is truly appreciated. And in this regard, we hope that you keep doing this for the future generation. I don't know what would be your concluding message that the future generation could pick up around cultural preservation, values, as well as elements of, mispressed feminism, where women need to be there rather than just being where they're supposed to be.
Okay, so maybe my last words would be, first of all, I'll talk about feminism, where let a woman be a woman, and it doesn't subtract anything from you when you remain a woman and a modest woman. So it doesn't add any value when you are doing bad things in order to be known. So be a woman of value that other people emulate to be when they grow up, to say, okay, we look up to that person, or we looked up to that person because of their lifestyle. Yeah, and then other than that, I think I would also like to speak about something that I'm just from speaking about, issues of the values, to say, let's pick up the pieces of where we are coming from and make a life, even in the modern world. Yeah.
Well, that's the message. I have been your host, Sydney Muponda, a storyteller, and with the production team around with me, Gobshots taking us with the video capturing, the production team, Miss Lina Kasongo, who is been the producer for this episode. I've been hosting Madam Nachombe Kabunda Siatwambo. Miss Nachi, thank you for coming through and sharing incredible stories and the insights. And I know this has been one of the educative sessions that we have had. It has been a great one. And be reminded that Nkhani Zathu is open for sponsorship and is brought to you by Southern Publishers. And we look forward that you stick around here, subscribe, and be part of many episodes that will generate and transform our lives. I have picked up 3 major lessons from the life of Nachombe, that we need a balance between the 3 E's: education, exposure, and experience. And because of experience, we need to be groomed and get back to our roots.
Exactly.
It's bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Cut.
Welcome to Nkhani Zathu, the pod that tells indigenous stories every day, the platform that tells you what's God and what's odd for young people and elderly alike in the areas of art, history, and culture preservation. And now your host, Rina Kasongo.